Acerola grim silmungue umaro sinome. Acerola grim silmungue umaro sinome. Acerola grim silmungue umaro sinome. Just making sure my wards are up to snuff. So a certain Cupcake has tread into my domain, and let's see if my troll wards are up and running. Okay. So, yay, tech stuff is always fun. So,
one of the things that has really stuck out to me recently is the fact that these atheists that I'm dealing with on the internet, about 90% of them always have these posters of Final Fantasy or Mario Kart or Super Mario Brothers in their background of their videos. This to me is kind of like a dead giveaway.
Now, I've seen this. I've seen this a couple times, and of course, we're going to get to what it's a dead giveaway of, but who cares? So, and yes, this is one big 5-minute long ad hom, and I will get into juicier bits. There are juicier bits coming, but first thing, Matt, it takes someone awfully insecure to actually give a shit about what people are wearing or what they have in their backgrounds. Just saying.
Because these people, they're obviously living in a fantasy land by believing that the world popped into existence uncaused with no God. I mean,
once you know, this is one of those, you're so wrong that it's like you're so far off the bit, you're not even wrong. I mean that, but I mean it seems to be Cupcake's bit to do oversimplifications to like it seems like Matt's brand is oversimplification and incredulity. And Scummer, I'm gonna have to agree. He that's like some Van Helsing chic right there. Now,
and that in and of itself requires belief in magic, belief in superstition, if you will.
So, which requires more belief in magic and superstition. Since I am replying to a young Earth creationist who takes the Bible as literal history, which tell me which takes more belief in magic and superstition, that the cosmos that the observable universe formed through natural processes that we can deduce via knowledge of the laws of physics, or that it was literally spoken to existence via a magic incantation. And speaking of magic incantations, have fun in the comments guessing the language my incantation was in.
But But the fact is that this crowd has really never grown out of Toon It Network. They haven't grown out of Nickelodeon.
So, funny. So it is kind of amusing to me how Matt says Toon Network instead of Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon, because I, because, well, for one, I didn't even grow up with cable. So that's 2 strikes right there, Matty boy. Though I'm not mentioned in this video. I'm not even shown in this video because I am invisible to trolls. What about your how's your bridge under how's your little hovel under the bridge in the back of Dinosaur Adventureland going, Matt? I wonder, Matt, because this meme has to get in here somewhere. So I wonder, Matt, when you and Kent break up, who gets custody of Dr. Peel?
Most of them on the internet that do response videos to me or other creation apologists, they have literal fantasy stuff hanging up in their.
And we have a cameo of our very own Godless Scummer wearing a horrible football club shirt, but I don't even follow football, so. Also, I think this screen cap was actually taken. No, never mind. I don't think it was taken from the Deadpool stream. It might have been.
Their background. They've got Marvel Comics hanging everywhere.
Oh, I don't know what you could be talking about. Now there's a reason I went with this panel in particular. Because this is kind of getting on to why I decided to cover this video, is because Matt's going to start going into the whole put away childish things verse and spiel, how you can't take people seriously if they like, popular entertainment stuff. And on the whole, treating artistic mediums as if they are solely for children isn't a good thing. If you want, I can direct you to my 3-hour-long history of comic books as Exhibit A. But when an artistic medium is downplayed as being childish or only for children, then its growth gets hampered by that stigma, because those producing for that medium will get censured, because obviously they're acting in a medium only for children, so everything they produce has to be at a child level or a suitable for children level. And we've seen what happens when people think graphic novels can't be taken as as actual serious literature. I'm looking at you, Tennessee School Board, and what you did with Mouse.
They never grew out of Super Nintendo. I mean, this is the crowd that we're dealing with.
So, technical fun wizardry is not my forte. I never grew out of Super Nintendo, but that's because I grew up in a PlayStation household. So there was no Super Nintendo to grow out of. And I'm pretty sure Jeff made that joke better, but sue me, I'm gonna try it anyways.
Knowing Matt Powell and having seen one of Matt Powell's sermons and then seeing him personally off to the side, it's not just an online, duplicitous character thing. That is him.
I figured it would be appropriate to really point this out because.
So, it feels to me that clip was just, I don't like this lady because she said something true about me. That's what it comes across as. And of course the whole surface level, look at the pop culture stuff in the background, because pop culture can't ever touch on serious topics as I sit with my sad blue background and my sad my sad music right here.
This is the same crowd that's coming after your children right now. The reason that they create cartoons and try to tell you why the Bible's wrong is because they want to infiltrate the minds of the youth. They want
bold talk, as someone who's grown up with actual propaganda directed at children, that those are some bold words, and that is some IMAX level production when you're buddying up with Kent Hovind and his glorified death trap of a summer camp right there. And of course the whole the stupid ad hom of, you like things that I classify as for children, you must be a predator. That's I have no words for that, as aside from just telling the logic, basically taking the dog whistle away.
Want to change their mind. They want to get them thinking that there is no God. Misery loves company. They're making it their purpose to tell everybody that there is no purpose.
So I don't give a damn about what deity you believe in, as long as you're not pushing for a theocratic rule. As far as I know, my monkey brain cannot tell the difference between whether or not a deity, exists or not, with the exception of most Christian interpretations of Yahweh, because those are internally inconsistent. Which is why I mentioned Dinosaur Adventureland. It's also for hiding Kent Hovind's tax returns.
And if you have children that have been influenced by these guys, just point out to your kids that these are a bunch of adults that have never grown out of childhood.
So, if you have kids who are, or if you have adults who are being influenced by nitwits like Matt Powell, or or rather who agree with Matt Powell, and just point out that pieces of media, really good pieces of media, have something in there for everyone. Once again, there's a reason I picked this specific comic panel for my background. That the best, like, when it comes to children's media, the best forms of children's media are what I like to call family media, in that there's something for the adults there to latch onto thematically and understand and dig into. Hell, over the past month, we did a series of 4 deep dives on the themes present in different animated feature films. And over pretty much all of them, we went over double the runtime of the movie just discussing what the guy, what themes were present in the film, talking about the animation, talking about the visual art, talking about the plot and the literature that is going on under the hood. And denigrating pieces of media as just stuff for kids, one, leaves you missing out on a world of ideas that you could open your minds to and take how you want, one way or the other. See, here's the difference between someone like me and someone like Cupcake here. See, I'm taking these pieces of media, these things that are distributing thematic and emotional information, and dissecting them, and then giving it back to you to say, take this how you will. People like, Cupcake and Kent Hovind, and, when they deign to even notice that, media outside their book even exists, they'll either denigrate it as just child stuff, rail against it as indoctrination or satanic, blasphemy or whatnot, and try, or just get it banned.
Why else would they have Dragon Ball Z in the background or Star Fox? I mean, it just, to me, it's a dead giveaway. We're dealing with a crowd of people that are literally stuck in their childhood and they've never.
Once again, take the best. So the best forms of media are media that you can, oh, look, my first bot. Can someone mute that, please? But as I was saying, the best forms of media, especially in regards to children's media, are something that you can look at and enjoy as a child on one level, and then come back to later and and read deeper themes and get different contextual thematic material to dig into and explore on that other level. And or perhaps is he in the camp of people that thinks Narnia is bad because it's too magical, even though it's the most Christian allegory to ever Christian since Pilgrim's Progress.
Grown out of it. But of course, this is the first crowd to tell us that the Bible's wrong. This is the first crowd to come and tell us that dinosaurs farted themselves to death.
So, one, I don't need there are things that can be said about the Bible. There are good things that can be said about the Bible. There are bad things that can be said about the Bible. I'm more interested in your approach to media critique here, Matty boy. And I'm not very enthused with your misrepresentation of pop sci articles, so I am going to double speed through these.
Or that squids and octopi rode on a comet from outer space into our Earth and crash landed to evolve and continue their evolution on Earth. Of course, the crowd that tells us that the Bible is incorrect and that Jesus was just a man, not God, is the very crowd that believes that monkeys made a sea voyage from Africa to South America on rafts, that they literally surfed from Africa to South America. One guy responded to me recently. He goes, well, that sounds crazy. Let's clarify. It wasn't a surfboard. It was a log or some seaweed.
So we have seen evidence, plenty of evidence, for animals drifting on logs, drifting on seaweed, drifting on whatever through the ocean.
I mean, that's pretty desperate. When you're saying that monkeys actually rafted on seaweed across the ocean, I mean, give me a break.
So once again, the same tactic of oversimplification to the point of absurdity and incredulity. Rafting is a thing. It happens. And as Jeff pointed out, that's at least one of your side's main excuses for how did the marsupials get to Australia, Matty, if they didn't raft over it.
It just, to me, I don't even know what to say. Internet atheists and non-believers, I tried, okay? I tried my best. I can honestly say that I've tried my best.
If this is your best, Matty, maybe you should. Maybe it's a good thing you're in Dinosaur Adventureland, simping for Uncle Kent. Who knows? He may need someone to warm up his microphone when he goes back to the slammer.
To help you understand the world around you. If you don't want to understand the world around you, if you want to continue living in Toon Network land or Nickelodeon land, like your posters have demonstrated, I can't help you. You have to grow out of childhood into adulthood. The Bible says that when I became a man.
Yeah. Okay, and yeah, okay, so Mr. Bear. And of course, the old when I became a man, I put away childish things verse. Once again, I reiterate, best forms of media when it comes to children's media are things that you can go back to and get new thematic experiences, things that have that hold thematic weight for adults to dig into and actually engage in. Like, for instance, the X-Men began, yes, it was it's superhumans in colorful costumes doing wacky mutant flashy fights. It's also a civil rights allegory. In fact, this issue right here, while I haven't read it, it's on my list to read because it's hailed as one of the best issues of X-Men of all time, is an issue called God Loves, Man Kills. And it centers around a reverend introducing to Congress legislation to basically ban mutants and basically that, Reverend Stryker is the NIFB for mutants. And this came out in the 80s.
And I put away childish things. When you have posters of literal Nickelodeon, SpongeBob, Patrick,
everyone's going to be pointing this out, but hitting a SpongeBob with Mjolnir. Also, while I can't really attest to this, as someone who grew up without cable, I never really got into SpongeBob. But from what I'm aware of, it's actually got quite a few smart marine biology jokes in there because SpongeBob was written. It was in fact written by a marine biologist, or the characters were created, and the show was originally, mostly written and produced by a marine biologist who turned to comedy later. But in regards to something with narrative depth that comes out of Nickelodeon, my go-to would probably be Avatar: The Last Airbender. There are volumes that can be said about each season of that show and how it handles the narrative arcs in both a overarching storyline and an episode-to-episode enjoyable way. And since I didn't get to do so beforehand, here's my life experience of having grown up. I spent 3 years of my life hunting terrorists for a living, one of which was deployed to Afghanistan. Another of which was doing intelligence support for our operations helping out against the Ebola crisis in Liberia. That's as far as I can go without the government hunting me down and putting me in Fort Leavenworth, because I had a security clearance. Now, what can you say to that, Matt Powell? Or what can your mentor, whose only academic achievement, albeit I will say I don't have a piece of paper saying I graduated from any kind of higher schooling. However, I do have medals. So, what does that, I got my PhD from a trailer park, Senpai Hovind, have to do, just putting that out there, and so what if I, spend my day, spend some of my time playing make-believe with math rocks and magic. I mean, it made for a rather enjoyable experience when you got punched in the face by the ghost of Freddie Mercury.
Squidward in your background. That is such a dead giveaway that you've never grown out of Marvel Comics, that you've never grown out of PBS, that you've...
Well, that's the thing about not growing out of Marvel Comics, because when you grow out of the Crash Bang Pow, you get to appreciate the thematic depths of stories like God Loves, Man Kills, or Spider-Man. No, the thematic the arcs of angst where with Peter Parker struggling between his life, but the responsibility that has been thrust upon him via the great power endowed by that spider bite. And as for PBS, Reading Rainbow. PBS isn't all kids shows. And I will say the quality of children's entertainment in PBS has taken a noticeable dip, but that was after the Bush years. But that was because of No Child Left Behind. Because No Child Left Behind cut funding for any programming that couldn't be tested, that didn't teach something that could be measured in a test. So so basically Reading Rainbow, which imbued, kids with a love of reading, and was essentially a documentary episode of the week with, an age-appropriate book tie-in, got nixed. But PBS also holds Masterpiece Theater, which is basically whatever's coming off the, whatever book adaptation is coming off the BBC. Or, travelogues, or Nature, or Nova, or history documentaries. There's a lot of good stuff on PBS that is not all what you would call childish. And another thing, Matty Boy, if someone is to decorate their room in an an aesthetically pleasing manner, what would you suggest? Would you suggest pictures of Bible scenes? Would you suggest pictures of the saints? Because then you're possibly dipping into the muddy waters of the whole iconology versus iconoclasty debate. So, or should we just all be in a sad blue abadi room? Because I'd rather see a variety of tastes displayed on the back of walls. Because if someone is decorating their creative space with their interests, it gives the watcher a taste of the host's personality. Something I've been lacking in decorating because of my living condition. And a taste of a creator's personality is a good one shot. Is like, okay, will I enjoy this? It gives you an idea of what kind of cultural touchstones and references that creator might be making. So it's a very good gauge, personality-wise. And so based on your background, you are a very sad, strange little man. You have my pity.
Never grown out of the things that you need to grow out of. I don't do these videos to be condescending towards you if you are one of these folks.
He said in a very condescending manner.
I simply point this out because it's kind of the elephant in the room. I mean, when you're going around saying there is no God, and proclaiming this while you have posters of literal kids material on your wall as a 40 or 50 or 60-year-old man or woman.
Okay, so 30 But thanks for the added maturity, I guess. Though, once again, I'm invisible to you trolls, so you've never even heard of me. And, you know, once again, what's wrong with giving your audience a taste of what cultural touchstones they can expect? You know, what kind of references that you'll make in your content, because cultural exposure feeds the type of language that you elocute with.
Grow up.
And once again, I'm going to ask you, Cupcake, if you and Kent Hovind break up, who gets custody of the giant inflatable banana in your backyard called Dr. Peel? But with that, I'll go on with my own tagline, because as you can see via Matt's whole video, indoctrination is a hell of a drug.